start. On your way back from lunch, you might have noticed as you approached Memorial Church from behind, there was this big round section off to the left. That's this guy's office. He's Reverend Scotty McLennan, the Dean for Religious Life at Stanford University. And we're very grateful for him coming here to the Lion's Den to tell us about how we can work with religious groups on our campuses. Actually, our group, AHA at Stanford, was founded 2 years ago by me and some other people. And at the time, he asked us if we'd like to become one of the Stanford Associated Religions. And we were a little bit worried about that word, but he kept asking, and eventually we said yes. And so now we're a member of the interfaith community here at Stanford, and we've worked with several of the religious groups. It's been a very productive experience, I think, for all of us. So he can tell you more about how to do those kinds of things at your universities. Please welcome Scotty McLennan.
Thanks, Joe. It's been a terrific experience working with Joe and other members of the AHA group here at Stanford. And in our brochure for the Office for Religious Life, you opened it up because we have 35 different religious organizations here at Stanford under the auspices of the Office for Religious Life. So you open it up, and the first one is atheist. Then it goes on and says things like holds discussion meetings on topics of interest, organizes larger educational events such as guest lectures, and all events are open to anyone, and friendly and respectful dialogue with religious students and student organizations is welcome. And I want to pick up on what Evan was saying, because that's really the earmark for us of our working with AHA, is this very warm, open, engaging, and therefore disarming way that AHA operates, and it makes a tremendous difference. That's not to say I'm a card-carrying member in the ACLU, and I think there's good reasons for people to go up against each other on civil rights and civil liberties bases, and there's times when it comes to that. But it's impressive to me the way this organization has operated. So I want to sort of trace through a little bit how this came to be. You said a little bit about it, Joe, but what some of the issues might be as it moves along. So I got an email from Joe in May of 2008 saying we'd like to offer our community and services to the student body alongside the official associated religions, and we're very interested in participating in interfaith dialogue on humanistic topics, but we can't literally call ourselves religiously affiliated. And my response personally and by email is, this is fabulous. We used to have a humanist group on campus. It's now defunct. We need a really strong atheist, humanist, agnostic group on campus, and I really lamented the loss of that. Let's talk. And then we went through this process of saying, well, this is called Stanford Associated Religions. How can we bridge that? How can we make sense of that? And what AHA did was to start thinking about the word religion and the word spiritual, and said things like this. Maybe we could write a statement of understanding which would explain the broad meaning we ascribe to some of these words and phrases. And also maybe we could have an opportunity to present this to the Stanford Associated Religion group as a whole, and see how they would respond, and ask if they have any grievances about the way we're interpreting. We actually have a pledge here, the way we're interpreting the pledge before we sign it, and so on. So then there was a pretty interesting statement that was put together. Let me see if I can give you some of it, but not bore you too much here. Atheists, humanists, and agnostics at Stanford and member organizations serve many parallel roles for the Stanford student body. AHA is glad to be included in the Stanford Associated Religion community, helps to foster new opportunities for respectful dialogue and cooperation, commits to all the guidelines and requirements. Although its participants don't consider themselves religious, it reconciles its purpose with a broad interpretation of the word religion and of the pledge by SAR organization, SAR, Stanford Associated Religions, to promote spiritual growth. Now this gets quite interesting, I think. Atheism and agnosticism are philosophical positions on the existence of a supreme being. And secular humanism adds an ethical component to these worldviews. AHA represents atheists, humanists, and agnostics who share an open-minded curiosity about these issues and relevance to worldly affairs with respect to open inquiry into questions of meaning and morality, which are spiritual questions in the most comprehensive sense. AHA's function complements those of the other Stanford-associated religions. So, I don't know, we'll get a little discussion time. We'll see what you all think about that. But it was an interesting approach. I went to the Stanford Associated Religions Executive Committee with this, and they said, sounds great to us, and it was very quick to say, yeah, that's great. And then we have this pledge. So now imagine yourself signing on to this pledge. All Stanford Associated Religion organizations and individual members and advisors pledge to promote the moral and spiritual growth of the Stanford University community. 2, support the university's steady exercise of free inquiry and its pursuit of the highest standards of intellectual and moral excellence. All right, so far? To represent that group and its purposes forthrightly while at the same time treating with respect the religious traditions and activities of others. And then to safeguard religious freedom, human dignity, conscience, and personal spiritual welfare of all members of the community. So it's interesting to see how you all in our discussion feel that, could you sign on to such a pledge and what would that mean? But in any case, it worked really well. There was also the notion of having a professional leader for the organization, and Paul Gilbert took on that role. There's a long tradition of having people associated with all of our groups who have some kind of theological or advanced degree learning. Paul's predecessor for the previous humanist organization happened to have been a Unitarian Universalist minister. As you know, there's lots of Unitarian Universalists who are atheists, and he was one such. So now, why would atheists even want to join Stanford Associated Religions kind of organization? And it seems to me the most important reason, there are some tangible benefits of membership. We have a center on campus and rooms and so on. But I think the most important reason is a seat at the table in terms of engagement with religious communities on campus. And it is true, it's amazing the things that have been organized by AHA on campus. We've had panel discussions, we've had, in a moment I'll go through the exact things that have happened, but all along there's been this opportunity to really rub elbows, get to know each other, I think, and to have some challenges to religious beliefs along the way, but it's been done in a fairly mellow way, I guess that's the way to put it. So I was also asked, can you imagine any situation where you would not recommend trying for any of your groups to get involved in an interfaith coalition or a group on campus? And I would think that's in situations, I don't know if any of you had those experiences, where the kind of things that we say in our covenant just aren't respected in an institution, where there's not respect for free inquiry, free engagement, openness, and so on. Could there be risks in a public university that might be different from a private university in doing this kind of work and identifying yourself as an atheist organization? I would certainly hope not, but the fact is there's been such negative reactions to atheism in the political arena. As you know, it's very difficult to become a congressperson, or there's only one person in all of the U.S. Congress who's admitted to being an atheist, who is also a Unitarian Universalist, so I don't know if that provided I'm also a Unitarian Universalist, by the way. I've actually written a book called Jesus Was a Liberal, Reclaiming Christianity for All, and I've been going around the country with that book recently. And even for me, I find the words are used, I'm told again and again, they're taking that book in bookstores, and the staff has to keep putting it up against, people come in and they turn the cover over so it can't be read. When I went to a bookstore in Dallas, and it was called Toxic. They said, we know the title is Toxic, but this minister, you should listen to him, and so on. I'm thinking, toxic? Just to say Jesus was a liberal? And so I know what it is for atheists to come out, but it's really important, I think, for you to do so and to be engaged in on campuses. Now, the kinds of programs that have happened here, and just as examples of what I think has been really exciting, we've had some of the neo-atheists like Dan Dennett on campus that the AHA group has sponsored, and they've been nice enough to ask me to come and hang out with Dan Dennett, who I actually knew for years because I was at Tufts University as the university chaplain, and so he and I used to have a lot of talks over lunch. Hemant Mehta came. He's the friendlyatheist.com, and did a great job in a dialogue with our United Campus Christian Ministries minister on campus. I was able to moderate that at the request of AHA, and that went very well, I thought. With the Stanford libraries, the AHA group was able to work with the Episcopal Lutheran Campus Ministry, Hare Krishna student organization, United Campus Christian Ministry, and so on, to have a readout in support of Banned Books Week. And that was really effective with a wide variety of readings, and I appreciate being asked to read myself there. They got Greg Epstein, the Harvard Humanists chaplain, here to campus for a talk and some book signing and conversation afterwards. One of the things that was most impressive, I think, in terms of AHA's work on campus here is their work with a bunch of religious organizations and others on campus in response to the Westboro Baptist Church. That's the church that, if you go to their webpage, it's GodHatesFags.com, and they come with these horrible messages about gays and lesbians, about Jews in this case. They were protesting Hillel on campus. But ultimately they protest just about anything, including they show up and yell hateful things at funerals of our soldiers killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. And some of their signs even red, white, and blue, and it says, God hates America. So that's pretty far out, but at this gathering for unity on campus, Stanford United, where we turned our back on the Westboro Baptist Church, but gathered ourselves and talked about pluralism on campus, and we had a covenant that we all said together, had some great music from some of our a cappella groups on campus. There was a bagpiper who came into the thing, just he's apparently dragged out of bed in the middle of it and said, "Can't you play those bagpipes?" And so he came out in his flip-flops and shorts, but playing Amazing Grace, walking through this crowd of 1,000 students, faculty, staff. It was very powerful. And AHA was right at the center of that, wearing T-shirts that one that Joe has on. And engaged in some of the planning for that. So really appreciate it. I think probably getting kind of close on time here. I'm trying to think what other things would be most useful for you to know. I guess, let me just say one thing on the kind of other side of this, which I haven't heard so far in this conference, but I think if you go the other way and react negatively or provocatively or bash religion, although as I say, I would defend you as a card-carrying member of the ACLU and a lawyer as well, actually on the board of the Northern California board of the ACLU. It may not have the most positive impact, and you may not be able to be as effective on campuses. I was asked to write an op-ed, which never was published, regarding the ads on New York buses that say you don't have to believe in God to be a moral or ethical person. And a number of other ads, these have been such ads all over the country now, but also started on buses in London. And I was saying in that op-ed that, of course, that's true. You don't have to be believe in God to be a moral, ethical person. I also talked about the importance of atheist pride, coming out, being public about that, and went on with a number of statements like that. But then I said, look different if you look at the actual website, because along in those buses it says NewYorkAtheist.com. You go to that website, and there are things being said on there, like by the president of the organization saying the church is trapped in Bronze Age tradition and ideology. The priest in Catholic masses today is wearing a soaring hat that seems more appropriate for Saturday Night Live's Conehead family. It conducts an uncipherable ceremony in Latin. Atheism will prevail not only because it rightfully should, but because of the idiocy, ineffectualness, and hubris of religion. And then along the way in this statement, he says, you criticize religion can be corrupt, scandal-ridden, illogical, unscientific, and hopelessly out of touch with the 21st century. So my sense is that's not going to really help in terms of dialogue, in terms of communication, in terms of the things that we just heard from Evan. And I wanted to end up saying in this op-ed that, as I say, was never published, wouldn't it be better if religionists and atheists alike took a big breath and tried to listen to each other as we truly are? Because practitioners of religion would come to understand that atheists are rightly concerned about the amount of violence in the world that's committed in the name of God. They'd appreciate atheists' concerns that science education has been deeply damaged in many parts of this country as a result of fundamentalist readings of the book of Genesis. They come to see how much atheists feel at risk every day at the hands of those who claim they aren't true Americans in a supposedly Christian America. But likewise, atheists could be generous enough to see all the good that's been done in the name of religion, as well as harm. And they remember that religious practitioners like Martin Luther King and Gandhi and Dalai Lama have been effective proponents of nonviolent social change. They'd appreciate how many religious people, for religious reasons, defend and promote science, logic, and rationality. They'd see that our basic freedoms in America are deeply rooted in our religious traditions. So let's work together to resist atheist fundamentalism as much as religious fundamentalism. And the next bus slogan, I would hope, would say, atheists and believers unite for visionary morality to save the world. That's enough.
One of the things that's worrisome about non-theism, non-belief, whatever you want to call it, identifying themselves with religious groups, and this is a concern I have, is that one of the accusations we get is that atheism is just another religion. It's not based on fact. It's just a belief system that, like any other type of belief system. And I think that for some people that's a very uncomfortable thing. And I was just wondering what your thoughts on that were.
Yeah. Well, I think you can say right up front, when we were joining such an organization, we don't see ourselves as a belief system, et cetera. That's why there's a great line. Joe, what's that line you had about? No. You had about.
Yeah, but atheism is a religion like baldness is a haircut.
Say that again.
Atheism is a religion like baldness is a haircut.
Atheism is a religion
I
like
like
baldness is a hairstyle.
Okay.
So I think you need to say, look, we're not like you. That's the point. We're atheists. But on the other hand, I wouldn't get too scared away by that, because I think, in fact, we all have our worldviews, our ideologies, our approach to things, and you probably could claim that science is based on certain assumptions about the nature of reality. And if you want to push that a little bit intellectually, I think you can go that direction. And you'd also find that a lot of religious traditions insist on fact as well. When the Dalai Lama was here on campus, and he was asked, he was in this, he's working with a medical school, he's actually giving some of his books, to neurobiology and looking at the neurological basis for compassion and altruism. He's asked, what would happen if we found from our modern Western science that your Buddhist principles were wrong? So that's easy. You have to change the Buddhism if it's not scientifically based. So I think it works in both directions. Yeah.
We heard a lot about the success some groups have been having, like working with religious organizations
first internally to people you might know in those organizations who themselves are atheists. For example, I mean, most of our Buddhists on campus would say we're atheists. So you could begin, and a lot of Unitarian Universalists in my tradition would say we're atheists. You'll find Quakers. You'll find a lot of Jews who say, well, we're secular Jews, but we sure don't believe in God, and so on. You might find a way to get those connections behind the scenes, first of all, and then maybe explore that with those groups, saying, what's the connection between atheism and religion? I mean, I would love to see us do that on this campus. We haven't done it yet, but that would be one approach. Otherwise, I think it's often personal. It's like it's the one-to-one. Let's go to lunch. Let's figure out what the deal is here, and then seeing, as the group did here on campus, can we sign on to a covenant, and but sort of have a document. We actually have a document with AHA that says this is what we mean by this stuff, and it might also say, and by the way, we're not a belief. We're a fact-based organization, we're a reality-based organization.
There again,
Yeah.
there is a belief. There's a belief in science
Right.
and reason.
Right.
And I think that's part of the issue with that. When we say we're non-believers, well, no, we believe in things.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but some people will say they don't believe they know science. So those are the people who have the issue with the word skepticism.
Yeah, I think I can see this as like a long struggle, both internally for you, but also I think with other groups who use terms like believe and know, and I know in my heart, and so on.
It's more about usurpation than it is of anything personal. It's more about one group usurping
Yeah.
belief, capital G God,
Right.
all of these things.
Yeah, I think that's another way to try to claim some of that back and say, you know, sorry, these words have a lot of other meanings. And this AHA did a good, nice job here, I think, of saying, look, we're a philosophical organization. We think a lot about the same existential questions about the meaning of life. We have stands, we have, information. We think we'd be helpful in that. Yeah.
I have a question about the respect clause in this pledge. I mean, it seems a little bit hard for me to offer blanket respect for a group of religious traditions. And it seems like there are limits to that even amongst your membership with regard to this Hillsborough Church and the like. So how is it that you can expect people to offer a blanket pledge of respect prior to knowing what groups might be involved, what beliefs they're supposed to be respecting or not respecting?
Right. No, I think that's really important. It's amazing to me, actually, that all of our groups sign on already, just the religious groups, because they're proselytizing each other. They don't believe in each other's, perspectives and so on. So they're really the tough ones, it seems to me. How do we even get them to sign on? Now, they tend to kind of interpret the word respect to mean we will have civil dialogue,
Right.
or more procedurally, or we will show up at the same meeting and listen, or that sort of thing. We will not go after your tradition, which is done between them, with a public forum and speaker, without informing you ahead of time and giving you an opportunity either maybe to be on a panel at our event, or at least to get your protest group going outside or something like that. So I think respect is more of that procedural kind of respect than substantive respect, because obviously they don't have that. Yeah.
What was the wording? Was it that you were to respect the other individuals or the actual beliefs of? Because, I mean, it's very easy to go, okay, yes, I respect you as a human being. I think some of your beliefs are just incredibly insane.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
you're right.
easy to have a respectful dialogue with another human, even if you're talking about insane beliefs,
Yeah.
because you can go, okay, well, here's where I differ with you here. But, I grew up in a similar sort of tradition, and I believed the same thing for a long time. I'm not saying that I was a worse person or a stupider person then.
what we write right here, we probably should be tweaking this because it does say, treating with respect the religious traditions and activities of others. So there are limits to that, you know, obviously. There's limits to what the Westboro Baptist Church is a good example, you know. So to treat with respect, again, I think it's interpreting what that means. There's certain procedural things with the Westboro Baptist Church as well. We try to not engage in violence with them, yes, being respectful. There's ways, you know, I guess we work on defining what you mean by respect, yes.
Well, let's do that in terms of, so, I guess I don't remember exactly how it was worded. I know I've read it, when we wrote our, modification document, but if you respect, if it's written so as you're respecting the other groups in the Stanford Associated Religion and have all agreed to that pledge, the Westboro Baptist Church wouldn't fit into those people who would agree to that pledge.
That's right, because people don't.
Respecting the other people in that community who have also made that agreement,
That's
that
right.
makes it different than respecting the religious activities of someone who has not agreed to that agreement. So I think that's something that I would see as a little different just within that.
It's a good point, because there's half a dozen groups which have chosen not to join Stanford Associated Religions precisely because they can't respect the traditions of others, so they haven't joined. Yes.
I don't see it that way. I think to say that I respect it means that I'm willing to take it seriously. That I have respect for the fact that you believe it, and because you believe it, it's worth taking seriously. Now, you know, I may think from the beginning, boy, that is really illogical. That's really crazy. But it seems to me that you're respecting the person, and in order to respect the person, that other person has to believe that, yes, you did hear what I was saying, and that it's important, and you are willing to engage it. And that may mean, you know, my belief is different from that person of faith, but it means I have to understand that it's important and deal with it, not just, boy, that is really stupid. I mean, that is, first it belittles yourself, you know, that you're not willing to take another person